You know, I have over 30 years of continuous sobriety, and I just want to talk to you about some things or mistakes that I did in early sobriety that I wish I didn't do, okay, for lesser words, because it made early sobriety a lot harder. The first one is that I didn't change any of my friends. I remember going to parties where there was cocaine, marijuana, and tons of alcohol. And I went to those parties because my buddies asked me to. I would sit there and drink Coke during these parties. And believe me, I did not stay sober. No one told me not to hang around with my friends. I just hung around with my friends. I thought that's what people did. You quit the booze, you hang around with your friends. So that made early recovery very, very difficult. Another one is when I went into the 12-step meetings, I thought that the whole idea of recovery was just quitting alcohol. If you quit alcohol, life would be a lot better. Just quit it, because that's the problem, right? The problem is the booze. So that's exactly what I did. I just quit the alcohol. And I went to meetings. I listened to people, you know, like attentively. And I even agreed with them half the time, you know. But I just believed in the back of my head that all I had to do was quit alcohol and my life would be better. I didn't understand, or I didn't want to know or do, that we must change our lives, right? There's reasons we drank, all that kind of stuff that I know now that I can put words to. But at the time, I really believed if I just quit alcohol, things would be a lot better. And they did get better. Don't get me wrong. Health-wise, I got better. Financially, I got better. I was sleeping better. I was eating a lot better. But mentally and emotionally, I was a basket case. And when I look back at this and I say to myself, I wish I would have listened to these guys in these 12-step programs. I remember a guy walking up to me. I had 2 years of, you know, white knuckling it. And he asked me, he goes, Terry, how is your sobriety? And I go, it's not too good. He goes, what step are you on? I go, step 1. I just quit the alcohol. I've done nothing. And he said to me, isn't it about time you start working on yourself? I remember the very minute pretty well. I remember Claude, his name is Claude, and it was at the Oshawa Olano Club where that happened. And I got to it and I started changing then. Another one is, and I know a lot of us are very lonely and we want companionship, relationships. I'm not going to tell you what to do about relationships. I'm not. But there's one thing I wish I never did, is got involved with a woman. I really didn't. When I came in to recovery, I was really sick in the head. I had a lot of difficulties. But there's one difficulty I had. I don't like to say it like this, but I was like, you know, I was horny as a billy goat, but I was immature and I was emotionally immature. But I was lonely as hell. And I wanted to be in a relationship. I wanted to get involved with somebody. And being involved in a relationship was one of the most temperamental, I think I'm pronouncing that word right, one of the most harmful things I ever did to myself in recovery. It really was. I ended up being charged with assault. I ended up relapsing. I ended up relapsing again, you know, relapsing twice. Once at 8 months, another one at 14 months, getting charged with domestic violence. I didn't beat her up, don't get me wrong, I grabbed her, but nevertheless I was charged with that. And I was supposedly, you know, I was supposedly sober. And people warned me, stay out of relationships, stay out of them. But you know, I thought I knew better. I really did. I thought I knew a lot better. Another one, as I look back after, you know, 33 years of sobriety, is that playing the catch-up game. And when I mean the catch-up game, I know we lacked, because drinking took so much from us, right? but I wanted to get my education caught up. I wanted to get employment. All those things I put in front of my sobriety. Getting a job. I needed to catch up financially. I needed to catch up education-wise, my health-wise, like going to the gym. All those things I needed to do, and I needed to do it today, right now. So I put all those things that I thought I needed before my sobriety. And I tripped, and I fell, and I stumbled. I really did. I stumbled. I did it. I did all these things I'm telling you innocently. I didn't listen to anybody. I went to rooms and people would tell me, Terry, do this, do that. I would say, yeah, I'll get around to it, and never do it. Never do it. Early sobriety is a very challenging time in one's life. It really is. Another one I did. Procrastination. Yeah, that's the word, right? It's a pretty long word, isn't it? I used to go to 12-step meetings, and I knew a lot about the program. I knew tons about it. I wasn't a lazy person. I always worked. So I didn't suffer from sloth in a sense of I was lazy, physically lazy. What I suffered from is procrastination when it came to the program of recovery, or changing myself or bettering myself. I knew what to do, but I didn't apply it. I went to a treatment center, and the lady told me in the treatment center, she says, Terry, you know more about the big book, the 12 steps, than anybody in this place. But she said, you know what your problem is? And I go, what? What's my problem? I guess you're going to tell me. And she goes, you apply nothing to your own life. Nothing to your own life. Change. That's what I'm saying, right? Change we must. And I remember her telling me that, and it just hit me with like getting hit in the head with the big book, because she was absolutely correct. I didn't do anything for myself to better myself. I was too involved in the fellowship. I was too involved with women. I was too involved in finding a job. I was too involved in getting educated. Too involved in all those sort of things, going to the gym, besides putting my sobriety first. And that's one thing I've learned, and if I've learned anything in long-term recovery in my 30 years, or over 30 years of sobriety, is that I need to put my recovery first. And that recovery means my mental well-being, my emotional well-being, my spiritual well-being, and my physical well-being before anything. I really do. I need to look after myself. And those things that I did in early recovery were done innocently. They really were. They're done innocently. It wasn't like I went out of my way to destroy myself. I didn't do that. And one last thing I want to talk about a little bit, and that's about employment. And I know a lot of us need a job. A lot of us need work when we come into recovery. And here in Canada, we have social assistance. They'll pay you a little bit of money when you're broke. I wish in early recovery I did this. I wish I stayed on welfare for at least a year. I wish I went to a secondary recovery home and spent more time on my recovery in those early days. A 30-day treatment center wasn't enough for me. I needed long-term stability because I couldn't get stable in my life. I was always looking around for somebody to help me become stable in all areas of my life. So granting myself more time in recovery, I would have really benefited from it. I really did. And the last one I want to say about employment. And I know a lot of us need money, and I know it, and I know a lot of us need it. But my father, when I first got sober, he used to give me hell for being on welfare. Because my family's all blue-collar workers. We all work. My sisters were giving me hell for being on welfare. But I needed money. But what I did is I looked for a job that was low stress, low money. Well, because low stress, low money, that was just a job. And my father said to me, he says, Terry, once you start working, you're going to start talking to some regular people besides recovery people. It'll sort of introduce you back into the world. And you know something? That was great advice. It really was. But the key is, if you're looking for a job, if you want to work in early recovery and you're still a little shaky on your feet, get a job that is very low stress. Bugs are killing me out here today. Very low stress and very low emotional, mental stress impact on you. Okay? That's what I did. I did all those things. If I could have redo my sobriety, the first thing I would do is I would have put it first. Everything else, women, job, education, exercise, you name it, I would have put it first. And that's the God's truth, because I had a hell of a time in early recovery because I would not listen to people. I wouldn't listen. I thought I knew better, and I really believe with every fiber in my body that all you had to do is quit drinking and your life would get better. That, my friends, is a myth. That's completely false. Your life will get worse if all you think is quitting the alcohol is going to change things. It's a great start. Don't get me wrong. It's a fantastic start. But you need to change, and you need to do things properly and listen to people. And listen to people. Another one, I'll just leave you. This is a bonus one. I would have got into counseling a lot earlier. Went to counseling and started getting things sorted out. I had a lot of difficulties when I came into sobriety. Tons of problems. I didn't realize how many problems I had until I sobered up. So I would have went into counseling much earlier than I waited. I waited for a number of years. You know, thinking that you can live off the fellowship, thinking you can still run your own show and do exactly what you did drinking but without the alcohol is very misleading. It really is. It feels good, you look good, you sound good, and people will pat you on the shoulder, on the back. But let me tell you something. You got to look after yourself mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. You really do. It's a 3-part disease. And if we don't address those parts, we are going to stumble in early recovery, okay? Don't make the same mistakes I made. Learn from me. Take the easier, softer way. Listen to people who's been there, who's done it, and who get where you're coming from, okay? And just take some risks. Believe what they're telling you, because I didn't believe what they're telling me. I just thought it was a bunch of old golfers who did nothing but drink coffee and sit around the Orlando Club in Oshawa, Ontario, you know, telling people how to run their lives, sort of deal, okay? So get into the program, join a support group, learn how to live sober before you learn how to do anything else. And I'm going to tell you something. You look after your sobriety, your life will get better, 100%. It'll take time, but it'll be worth it, okay? My name is Terry G. This is an alcohol-free life channel where we learn to live sober one day at a time. You can take a second. Can you please subscribe? Take another second and hit that like button. Thanks a lot for stopping by, and ciao for now.